So yesterday we were speaking about how in order to get to these levels of hisragshus and hislavos, these emotive experiences when we're davening, when we're learning, when we're serving Hashem, the Piasetzner Rebbe gave us a little bit of a simple mindset with which to come into the space of Avodas Hashem, that through doing that, that can help us to feel. Now he deals with the question of what if that doesn't work? What if we're not able still to bring ourselves to those feelings of emotionality, if we're not able to really feel present in our service of Hashem, to really to feel something, the authentic religious experience overwhelming us, something happening inside of us. And so really the rest of the Sefer is going to be devoted, as we're going to go through, again, we're not covering every single detail, but the general themes that are discussed, we're trying to cover. So the rest of the Sefer is going to be giving us a guided path toward accessing that state. But before doing so, the Piasetzner Rebbe wants to clarify that we're not simply speaking about an isolated setting by setting or circumstance by circumstance experience. This goes back to, if you remember, to the very first video in the small little series, which we began as just Hashem after the baby was home from the hospital. We were no longer, giving those short teachings from the incubator side. So we began this series with the concept of hargasha, feeling, being not simply something that we feel in specific moments, but just generally speaking, it's something that we think about all the time, that naturally when we come into the space of being able to activate these feelings religiously, we're supposed to feel something. And so over here he puts it in slightly different words. He says we're not simply talking about the hargasha of the ish, the feeling of the particular individual, but rather the goal is, and this is what we're going to try to become and train ourselves step by step toward transforming or revealing this inside of us to become an ish misragesh. Not a person who has emotive experiences, but generally an emotional person, a feeling person, which is the most human thing that we can be. And to the degree that we are feeling, to the degree that we are still impacted by the world and stirred to impact the world, a person that really feels deeply what it is that they go through, that's the degree to which we're more human. That's the degree to which we are getting in touch with our essential humanity. We can speak about it in the context of the childlike, innocent nature, just like children are incredibly emotional. So we always have to be suspicious of the things that we lose along the journey. To those of the Chevra who have been reading the story of our lives, or have read the book, or are engaged with those materials, we're all aware of the journey that we take, that Rabbi Nachman begins his famous story, the first story of Sipurei Maisi, is Baderech Siparti Maisa, on a journey. I told a story. As we journey from youth to adulthood, we lose something. So we call it the princess. Rabbi Nachman called it the princess, the lost princess, right? And that's the subject of a book that I was privileged to write, The Story of Our Lives. So over there we speak about the loss of the princess. What is it? We speak about the loss of sensitivity, the loss of feeling, being able to feel feelings, being able to be a person who's moved. As we become adults, so to speak, and we move through that journey, we become numb, we become cynical, nothing shakes us. We're not overwhelmed by wonder in the same way that children are over what would seem to be the simplest and most basic human experiences, but it's so overwhelming because it is so overwhelming, but we lose touch with that. And so we hear the Piasetzner Rebbe saying the goal of Avodas Hashem is to help us reclaim what we naturally are, what we naturally had as children, to become an ish misragesh, not just a person who from time to time has emotional experiences, but an emotive person. So let's read inside very quickly. He says, Kadavar azehu gam bargashas ha'ish. This is on page Chaf, if you have the Sefer in front of you and want to follow along. Again, the Sefer is Hachsharas Ha'avreichim by the Piasetzner Rebbe of Kleinimus Kalman Shapira of Piasetzna. So the Tzaddik writes, the same thing with the emotion of a person. It would be really impossible for a person to to genuinely feel the extent of an emotional experience built in you, who bal hargasha is misragish. He has to be an emotive person, a sensitive person. And the same thing with the person's body. Even if a person is like up until his neck in a physical sensual experience, not everyone will feel that or experience that to the same degree. There's some people who become moved and stirred by every davar nekala, small thing, worried about everything that there is, and every small thing that happens that makes them happy. They genuinely feel joy, even though somebody promises them something and already made their day, right? And not just the quality of it, but the quantity of it is tremendous. Or rather, not just the quantity of it, the quality of it. When he's worried, he's completely wrapped up with it. It affects him. And when he rejoices, not just quantitatively, he's happy over all the good things that happen over the course of a day or a week, but rather in the joy that he feels, he genuinely feels the joy for real. In all other emotions. To such a person, we don't refer to him like he's not an angry person or a depressed person, he's not a happy person or a merciful person. This is a sensitive, emotional person. And then sometimes you have really cold people, and that's a ubiquitous experience today. We've become very, very numb. We've become very cold. We have to feel again. We're yearning to feel again. And we were given the capacity to feel for Avodas Hashem. So the Sefer is going to help us to recover that. But Ezras Hashem, have a wonderful day.